It will be Georgia and Michigan in the Orange Bowl. It's going to be one of the most watched games that Georgia's ever played. So this is an important one for the Dogs, needless to say. This is about as good a matchup as you could get for television, that's for sure. I think, for Georgia still licking their wounds after getting beaten pretty solidly by Alabama last night. Now you got to pivot and turn and change. I mean, what's happened's happened. You're playing Michigan now, not the ghost of Alabama. And Kirby Smart will have uh, a, not 4 weeks, but somewhere in that ballpark about to get his team prepared to play. And it's against a Michigan team that is, almost undefeated and has played well these last 2 weeks. Now, how that will translate into the future, I don't know. I did not think Iowa was good at any point in this season, so I'm not surprised that they absolutely throttled Iowa. But the win over Ohio State speaks for itself. James Franklin's a fraud, so any win over Penn State's hard to really give anybody credit for. But the Ohio State win is a big deal. They lost to Michigan State, but that was a tight game. And Jim Harbaugh has dealt with a lot of criticism. I think is that uh, the best way to put it. And people have been making fun of the guy for a long time, and now he's got his chance to win the national championship. Speaking of which, here's Georgia, 2 games away from playing. Excuse me, 2 wins away from winning a national championship, and that didn't change because you lost. It just changed perhaps who you will play, perhaps not. So this is an opportunity the likes of which Georgia has not had very often in its history. So I'll tell you right now, it's time to take advantage of it. I've talked about this for a long time. There is no team remaining Georgia can't beat, and in a way shouldn't beat. So they're going to have to do it though, and I think Michigan is kind of a you better watch it situation because I think people in the South will dismiss them because they play for the in the Big Ten, but Michigan um, has played well lately. I think if this game were next weekend, it would be something that people would be very nervous about. Of course, we're talking about Georgia folks, so they're going to get nervous. This is what they do, but they don't have sort of false confidence. There was I have to say, I think there was a fair amount of false confidence. False confidence. There was a lot of confidence this past week that Georgia would handle Alabama, but these sort of romantic notions of what will happen or could or should happen, you got to go do it. And that was a really tough game for the Dogs last night. Obviously, got completely, I thought, not just outplayed but outcoached too. And in leaving the field, I watched some of the film I've got. That was really hard for Justin Schaefer specifically. Warren Erickson to some degree, but Justin Schaefer, that was a really tough uh, moment for him. He was embraced by Xavier Truss first, then Matt Luke, then Kirby Smart, and then Kirby went to go see Lewis Cine, and the two of them embraced. The thing about, and I don't know what Kirby said after the game. I couldn't know, but their season is not over. Their dream is not done, and I'm sorry to pump sunshine if you want to call it that, or live in reality, but that's the situation that they're in, and those guys are going to have to get through this next 3 weeks of thinking the entire time about what they cost themselves, which was the ability to eliminate Alabama. Um, it seems to me still, even with these matchups, Alabama, Cincinnati, Georgia, Michigan, if you want to win the national championship, you're going to have to beat Alabama. I mean, it is possible that Cincinnati could beat Bama, but I just don't think that that is likely. And so the winner of the Michigan Georgia game is going to have to do it probably. And that team will probably be Georgia. We don't know what the line is yet for this game. We'll see, and I'll do a video on that when that comes out. My suspicion is that Georgia will be favored. The question is by how much. Predictive spreads had it at somewhere around a touchdown or so, and we'll just have to see where that lines up. Um, but you know, Georgia needs to handle what's in front of them right now, which is a pretty big task. I mean, anytime you're playing the Big Ten champion, I mean, they're the real deal. And everybody thought it would be Ohio State. Well, it's not. Everybody thought it would be Georgia that would kind of roll on through. It's not. So now you've got I keep repeating it, but you're in the situation that you're in. It's not going to change, and you need to be ready for the opportunity that you've got. This team is better than Michigan. Georgia's better than Michigan. The quarterback up there is good, not great. The only team that Georgia has lost to in the last 2 years, the only teams that Georgia's lost to in the last 2 years are teams that have quarterbacks that are going to go in the first 50 picks. I don't think we've got that situation coming up with Georgia or Michigan. I would say that favors the dogs. So this is a game Georgia should win, but they've got stuff to prove now. Starting with practice on Monday, or I mean, I don't think they're practicing today. They could do. I mean, certainly they're in the facility, but um, you know, it's time. It's time to win the national championship at Georgia, and it's past due. And you can wallow in your misery, and that's fine. But the players and the coaches have to move forward, and they need to. They don't need to do it for Georgia. They need to do it for themselves. And all of the burden of the last 40 something years is not on them, but the expectation of being great is, and I have an expectation that those guys be great, and they were not Saturday night, and it's time for them to be. So everybody in there needs to be a little bit selfish. They need to do it for themselves. Don't do it just for Georgia. Do it for yourself too. And in fact, do it for yourself first. And if you do what you're supposed to do, Georgia will win the national championship. If you don't, they won't. I mean, it's black and white at this stage. So Georgia needs better play from quarterback. Uh, the defensive scheming, or just the way they got beat by Alabama last night, that is something that they'll have to correct. It's going to be tricky for Alabama without Minchie being in there. He's a very good player. He's going to be out. And the other thing too that's kind of curious here is, how healthy will George Pickens be? How healthy will Don Blaylock be? These are all things that are. This is a game on New Year's Eve, and it's the 5th. So yeah, it's 26 days from today. That's a long time, and you have the ability to get healthy, get right. And Kirby's been in this situation before and has won. It's not a guarantee that he'll win again, but this is a game Georgia should win, and we'll just see how it goes and what happens. But we'll see you over on Dog Post. Thanks for watching. Take it. We got a $2 deal right now for 2 months. Get you through the playoff. You need to take advantage of it right now. Click down below.